Hey Fiona, I hope everything's going well. In this video lesson, I'm assuming you've been working on that strumming pattern, and I'm just going to show you a couple of easy songs that you can use this strumming pattern with. So the first one I want to take a look at is a song called Mr. Tambourine Man by the Byrds, originally written by Bob Dylan. You've definitely probably heard this tune. So it's really easy. Your chords in this song are going to be a G, a D, and an A major, okay? If you remember correctly, you can play A major with one finger or three, just whatever is most comfortable for you. A lot of the songs in this video are going to have A chords in them. So just figure out how you want to play that, and let's go ahead and jump in there. So we're going to learn Mr. Tambourine Man. Okay. That's your whole chord progression for Mr. Tambourine Man. It's pretty easy, but there's kind of a trick to it. Okay, so the beginning and end are going to end with G, A, D, and in the middle you're going to kind of do this D to G, D, G motion there. The song is in the key of D, but it starts on G chord, which makes it a little tricky. That's pretty uncommon for a song to be in one key but to not start in the chord on the chord that is that key. It's a surprise right from the get-go. So let's learn this one. Okay. If you take a look at that sheet, it's just going to be G for one measure, A for one measure, D for one measure, and then you're going to go down to G. Back to D, G, A for two measures, back to G. Okay, now you're kind of starting it over again. A, D, G, D, G, A, and then to D. Okay, so you'll notice in this song, the first time you go to that A chord at the end of the repeat, you're going to hold it for two measures. And then the second time, you're only holding that A chord for one measure. So sometimes, because we're in the key of D, there's a special chord in the key of D in any key called the 5 chord. And in this case, that would be an A major chord. You've probably heard this in church music. Like that sound right there. Like that. This is called a cadence. It's just kind of a chord motion that happens usually at the end of a chord progression to sort of signal to the listener that our chord progression is ending and another loop is beginning. And you hear it a lot more commonly in older music like this. But it's just something important that you should know about. You know, just in case you're wondering why we call it the 5 chord, if you remember your major scales, right, from playing piano, both your major scale has note names, but it also has a number name. And because you're moving that major scale sound, you can move it anywhere. You have to have a number system to refer to it relatively. So a D scale might be the notes D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, C sharp, D. And then like a C scale might be C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And the note names are completely different, but the sound is actually it's more or less the same, right? It just sounds higher or lower, just kind of in a different place. But this, okay, we have to refer to that by numbers sometimes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Just like that. And our 5 chord comes from the 5 in this scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which in the key of D is an A note. Therefore, we have an A chord, and that is our 5 chord. Just like that. Okay? So, you know, I'll kind of identify 5 chords, and if you want to have a deeper conversation about that, we definitely can. But, you know, for the most part, you can kind of feel 5 chord because of the way it sounds, and you can just sort of refer to it as that church sound that you hear in church music a lot. A lot of modern music doesn't actually have 5 chords. They kind of fell out of fashion for a little bit. Okay, the next song I want to teach you is called California Stars by Wilco. You probably have not heard this one. It's definitely newer, but it's one of my favorite songs, and it's quite easy to play, and I think you'll enjoy this one, because even though it's a newer song, it's definitely, Wilco definitely has a very throwback kind of style. And this would also be a fun one to play and sing because the lyrics are quite easy as well. So, this one starts in A, and it's going to be, your chords in the song are A, E major, D major. Okay? And that's the entire chord progression. There's no other chord in this song. So you're going to start with A, 1, 2, E, then D, then back to A. And so it's just going to be 2 measures per chord, and you're going to have an A on either side. So when you're repeating, when you're coming back to that A chord and you're repeating, that A is technically going to be twice as long, but if you think about it, it's just being the place where you snip the loop is like right in the middle of that. Then you'll have no trouble playing this and you won't get lost. But you just got to keep track of your chords at first. Okay. Generally, you'll notice like that everything in songs. I don't know if you've noticed this yet, but everything in songs tends to happen in 4s. You have 4 beats in a measure, right? And you repeat things at least normally 4 times. Sometimes a different number if the artist wants to create a little bit of tension. But for the most part, everything in this song, you've got 2 measures, 2 measures, 2 measures, 2 measures. That makes 8. So you have basically this chord progression divisible by 4, but you have 4 chords, right? And if you consider this A at the end, a different chord, so it just has this evenness about the sound. It's very pleasing to listen to. So, as with any song that you learn, okay, start with the chords first, get used to them. Try to just relax and enjoy the process of learning the song instead of, don't put too much pressure on yourself because, that pressure doesn't really matter, Just have fun and work on learning the chords first. Keep practicing your strumming pattern, but the secret is once you've worked out the math, you just don't think about it. Like, I don't know, stare at something or someone, or just kind of look away and start trying to just enjoy the sounds that you're making. In any case, I hope this video lesson was helpful. I hope your trip was successful, and I will see you in 2 weeks. All right? So you have a wonderful weekend and a happy 4th of July. Peace out, Fiona.